Now, there was tension on Sunday as the Northeast Consultative Stakeholders meeting in Gombe endorsed President Bola Tinubu for the 2027 presidential election, but was silent on the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. Now, trouble began when Mustafa Salihu, who is the APC's National Vice Chairman for the Northeast, publicly endorsed President Bola Tinubu for a second term. Now, the omission did not go unnoticed. As soon as Salihu concluded his remarks, aggrieved delegates began hurling insults and threatening physical confrontation. However, yesterday on the morning show, Mustafa Salihu clarified that he read a communique that was agreed upon by various stakeholders in the Northeast, with the three zones of the northern region, the Northwest, the Northeast and North Central, all in strong contention for the nation's number 2 seat. Should Vice President Kashim Shettima be concerned about his position in the 27 elections? As previous records of President Tinubu have shown, during his time as Lagos governor from 1999 to 2007, he had 3 different deputy governors. Joining us to discuss this is Dr. Okechukwu, who is the Executive Director of Development at Specs Academy. Good morning, Dr. Okechukwu. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
As I'm sure you were aware, I'm sure you saw the very chaotic scenes of what took place in Gombe. Essentially, we'd like to start with hearing what your thoughts are. Do you think that, despite what we've been told in the aftermath of the videos, do you think that that was an intentional slight against the Vice President? Do you think that he should be concerned that perhaps he is not in the future for the APC when it comes to its journey to re-election in 2027?
No, I think the matter goes beyond how the vice president feels about it or how he doesn't feel about it. We're running a presidential system of government, and it's not new. It's one ticket, a presidential ticket, within which there's a vice president, usually, if you look at our experience, indicated by the person who has got the presidential ticket. Go back to our experience in the last 25 years. The president, even Atiku, when he was chosen as vice president, remember he was already settled in Adamawa. Atiku again, after the PDP primaries in the last election, everybody thought it was going to be weaker. He chose somebody else. But that's not really the disturbing thing. The disturbing thing is the optics. Party discipline should make it possible for party members to know that when the party has taken a decision, there cannot be an alternative point of view in the public domain, coming in the form of insults and throwing of stones. I think the person who should be concerned and alarmed about this is not just the vice president, but local government chairman in the wards, state chairman of the party. What kind of members do they have that this sort of thing would happen? With this kind of event, is it not possible that mischief makers will attribute it to the vice president and claim that he mobilized it? And if you look at the background of events that have occurred since the last 2 years that this government came into being, remember there was a tax bill, or a series of tax bills, I think 4 of them, Rufai?
Yeah.
And it came from the presidency. Then there was a meeting of the northern governors, or was it, I think, a Council of State, chaired by the vice president. This is the party in power. This is the substantive president in the absence of the president if he traveled. And what we had was opposition to that bill. How does that make the member of the presidency, he's from the north, look? So when you have that and you have this again, you ask yourself, are they really helping the vice president? Are they suggesting, for instance, that the president cannot choose another candidate? So this is very bad at 3 levels, at the level of party cohesion and party discipline and party leadership, at the second level of solidarity within the presidency, and at the 3rd level of the question of trust between the 2 people who hold the reign of power, one substantively, the other in a supporting capacity. It's a very dangerous development. In fact, it also speaks to what has become the norm, namely that there's really no party activity at the ward and local government level, such that party discipline doesn't exist in most of the parties. This incident should be a warning not to APC, but to all the parties. Create genuine members. Let them meet regularly. Rallies are not for elections. Party meetings should take place at the ward level, at the council level, at the local government level, on a routine basis. Have a rally every 3 months within your state. That's how party begins to be real. Not during elections, you organize in some cases, give money or hand it over. Oh, Okechukwu is in charge of this place. We give him money, he knows what to do. Rufai is it? You're not building membership. And this is clear manifestation of the danger of that kind of thing. No, there is one ticket belonging to the APC. But to think that whoever has the presidential ticket can be muzzled into whom to choose is a very, very disturbing signal for the party and for politics.
Absolutely, Dr. Okechukwu. It hasn't even been up to 1 week since the president made that statement where he said he was taking pleasure in watching the opposition in disarray. And at this moment, I can see that the opposition are also taking pleasure in seeing the APC in somewhat of a disarray. But my main question to you is, do you think that there are now challenges and pressures around this Muslim ticket? Is it possible that there is pressure that a Christian needs to be brought onto this ticket for 2027?
That has not become part of the conversation, but I think it should become part of the conversation. Also, we must look at it against the background of what has transpired in the first 2 years of this regime. Is there a clear indication in public consciousness that there's a partiality towards any particular religion because of those in power? People are in a position to assess that for themselves. But yes, for the optics and for the sense of equity, I think that should be considered going forward. But again, I'd like to add a caveat that you usually hear the various religious groups, the dominant ones, Christians and Muslim leaders, talking about tickets, talking about all sorts of things when it comes to power. You don't hear them when you're speaking of corruption. You don't see them feeling uncomfortable that some of those accused of corruption are very prominent and visible in their religions. You don't see them complaining about blasphemy or desecration of a place of worship. When somebody in office comes in to worship with people carrying guns, probably to protect him from the Almighty, you don't see them raising the issues spiritual leaders should raise. It is to grumble about positioning. And whatever happens in those positions, it doesn't matter. He's our man. So I'd like to add that while saying that, yes, it will be better optics to have that kind of balance, given the kind of country we have. This is no longer June 12th. When Nigerians as Nigerians said, we want this man to be our president, it doesn't matter who he was running with. Nobody thought or knew that Muslim ticket meant anything because of the excitement about Abiola. Since that's not the Nigeria we have now, I think it would help to think through the optics and consider the kind of ticket that will create a sense of, that kind of balance, even if it's purely physical and artificial. Yeah, it should be something to consider going forward, I believe.
Okay. I'd like to ask you this. Isn't it a shocking indictment on all of us as a nation that over 200 people have died in Benue? There's been a lot of killings in the country. There was a flood situation the other day in Niger. Inflation is still very high. And all these politicians are allowing us to talk about is who will be their running mates for a 2027 election, which we are not even sure that we are going to see tomorrow as human beings. The question is, when are we going to focus on the problems that bedevil us today?
I think there's already a focus on that problem. The elite is focusing on succession, positioning. The bulk of the elite is not focusing on leadership, on development, and it cuts across all the zones. Remember that when the CBN governor, when the relocation of some departments to Lagos was announced, Katsina elders gave a press briefing, raising core issues about equity and so many other things. And I recall I wrote an article on the back of this day. I titled it, as Katsina elders were saying. Now, Rufai, let us ask ourselves. Katsina is one of the most devastated states by bandits. Even while Buhari was in power. Even when the traditional ruler was kidnapped, for 3 months he couldn't be brought out. Even when the in-law of the chairman of the Northern Elders Forum was his children were kidnapped. I think the in-law was either killed. Nobody had them. Why is it that our political leaders, our religious leaders, our elders and presumed elders and statesmen come out to make statements that leave you in no doubt that they don't know what's going on in this country except what will suit them. So I agree completely with you. The issue on the table is that a lot of people have crisis of daily survival at the level of minimally being able to afford a meal, that there's no party cohesion, that development is not taking place, that you have local governments who receive between 80 million and 150, 180, 200 and something million every month, and nothing happens in that local government, and that we developed a political culture that focuses on grumbling about the federal government, as if state governments and local governments have no responsibility. Now, the reversal of that consciousness needs to take place. That's what's not happening, and that's why you can speak of, I mean, imagine that the people from an area want to take a position to the federal government. It will not be about how the quality of roads is making it impossible for farming communities to come out on time and make good money, no. It will be about who will get a position. And that person, if he doesn't get it, he will say our people are being marginalized. If he gets the position, he doesn't go to the people to say, yes, I brought the spoil of office. Those are the issues on the table. And it's not about the executive. Look at the National Assembly. I think there was in the news about the vehicles they were given, 140-something million at the time, I think 2 years ago. How many of them said, okay, look, in place of this vehicle, since it's mine, let me have the vehicle. And I'll go to my people and say, my constituents, look, I've got this 149 million. I'm leaving 100 here. I'm keeping 49 because I still have to come, I spend on your behalf, etc. At what point does the representation impact the lives of the people? Yes, there are constituency projects. But if I get a constituency project, I give it to you, who is my political crony. You also make some money from it. It's good that there are roads and all those things. But an organic engagement of the political demographics is not taking place. And that's a matter of great concern. That's a matter on which all the parties should ask themselves questions.
Agreed. Well, Dr. Okechukwu, thank you very much for